Hi, Ale. How are you?
Good. How are you, Carla?
I'm good. I hope you had a nice holiday after the dissertation.
Yes. It was a good time to relax a bit and start all over again after the hard time of writing.
Yeah, well, I had the pleasure of reading your dissertation, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions. So, what was your main motivation like for choosing this topic?
Well, thank you for reading to begin with. And the main motivation started with my passion about all the conflict that hit my country. I'm from Colombia, so we've been of war for all over 50 years, and this war was mainly focused on young people and how most of the guerrilla armies and military forces attacked them. So for almost 5 decades. Uh, Most of the efforts of institutions and cultural organizations was to build a new image and new representations of that youth, and to retell the story of how youth was represented in my country. So basically the motivation comes from that, from the efforts of victims of the conflict to retell their stories, but especially throughout a medium that I'm also interested in, that it's graphic novels. And then I found the perfect match between the conflict that hit my country and also a passion that I have, that are the graphic novels.
That's a very, very interesting topic. Can you tell me a bit more about the theories or studies that you used in your research?
Yeah, of course. So I started precisely wondering about representations of youth and how to study those, and also about graphic novels. And I found that youth studies and comic stories were the perfect match to create this intersection between those two studies, and to create an analytical tool to review the graphic novels that were aiming to portray new young people's identities. So from youth studies, I choose relational agency as my main focus, and how throughout the relationships that young people build with adults, with younger peers, how throughout those relationships we understand agency, and how agency it's like the main core of how we act politically, on how we basically act. And that was the main core of the youth studies approach. And from comic studies, I use an analytical research that Polak made around ethics in the gutter, and how graphic novels were used for almost 20 years, more or so, to precisely to tell the stories of victims of conflict, not only in Latin America, but also all around the world. So in her study, she used the combination between the gutter, the panels, that are the main elements of the and features of the graphic novel, to review and study how those elements tell those stories, how the image, how the different panels can tell new perspectives around history. So those two were the main theories that I used for the research.
That sounds really nice. So what were your main findings? I mean, I already read them, but share us more about, like in your own words.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's important to say that I study two graphic novels in particular, one called Una larga travesía verde, and the other one, Hasta que honremos la vida. And in both graphic novels, the aim was to portray new representations of youth, but also to acknowledge all the, well, not acknowledge, but also to review how war affected specifically young people in my country. So in these two graphic novels, it was important for me to notice how those interrelationships and relationships uh, that agency needed to be, yeah, acknowledged by the young person, were portrayed in the stories. So when you read the stories, you can see how for young people to act, to develop agency, they needed to talk with another adult, talk with a peer. And that was important to notice, to see how these stories focused on showing those relationships, how young people didn't act or didn't encourage themselves just because of the sake of it. On the opposite, they understood they understood the context, they understood the word, they understood how the word is not only a concept, and the word has a name, word has a face, and in the graphic novels you can see that. But also, I think it was important to see when I did the analysis that maybe because of the focus on the community approach, to see a lot of perspectives, you could see how adults took a lot of the focus on the stories. And even if in the graphic novels that I review, the main narrators were young people, still the main characters were adults. Those characters had the power. And one of my findings was like, okay, yeah, we're saying that young people are present, that your people are active citizens, but we are not seeing them as active when we talk about the actions that they do with another peer, with a person that have the same age as them. So that was shocking for me, because I thought at the beginning these graphic novels will show a lot of active young people, but I don't know, between them, like with a lot of dialogues between peers and so on. But no, it was the opposite. So that was shocking for me, because most of the political participation and political organization that we have in the country comes from young organizations that are mainly built by themselves. So seeing that lack of presence of those organizations was a good finding. And well, with this uh, yeah, I don't know, yeah, with this type of product, what I believe is that we can start looking for more. And yeah, to actually represent what young people are doing now, that is not only looking for a new type of representation, but actually to acknowledge what they are doing now, that it's that, that it's basically them doing a lot of political organization and a lot of changes in the country to be acknowledged by what they truly are. So yeah, that was my main goal and finding.
I mean, yeah, no, that sounds really, really interesting. Would you say that this was the most exciting element in your research, or is there something else that was even more like eye-opening?
Well, for me, it was also interesting to notice while I was doing my historical research about graphic novels in the country that I had like a misconception of graphic novels, because I thought that uh, the graphic novel was basically created in the US, that a lot of the findings and I don't know, like the most important graphic novels that I have in my head were constructed in France. But no, I noticed while doing the research that in 1970 in Colombia, we were already thinking about these graphic novels. We were already constructing graphic novels that talk about um, communities, and not only in general, but also talking about the political statements that communities were facing in the country. And that was a work that I didn't have any notice. I mean, it's an academic research, but it's important to notice that this exists, and now probably we can see that work, and we can read more and look for more research that has been done in the past. So that was also really interesting to see while writing my dissertation.
Well, that is all very interesting. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, no, but
I mean, I
I
know
do
we could
hope.
talk about this for hours,
I
but
know. It's a long topic also because it's such a short time to discuss about a process that took 6 months or more. But in general, I think that it was a good experience to to go and see in deep how the graphic novel has been so important now for the country and for the representation of young people in Colombia. So yeah.
okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Ale. It was really
Thanks to
interesting to
you,
talk about.
Carla.
All right. I'll see you around.
Yeah, bye.